Daily Heavenly Manna, October 23rd. The chosen text from Matthew chapter 20 verses 27. Whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Explanation. Among us, the Gentiles, the rulers are lords, who do no serving but are served. But among the followers of Jesus, the rule is to be reversed. He who would serve most was to be esteemed most highly. What a beauty there is in the divine order of things! How thoroughly all who are right-minded can sympathize with the principles here laid down. How reasonable they are now, and how contrary to the spirit of the world. Truly, the Lord's followers will, in this sense of the word, be a peculiar people in their zeal for good works, for serving one another, and for doing good unto all men as they have opportunity. Reprint number 3363. Amen.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got this short, really powerful source today. It cites Matthew 20.27. Whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. It just hits you, right?
It really does. It's a complete inversion of how we normally think about power, about leadership.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is to figure out why this idea is called both, well, reasonable and totally contrary to the spirit of the world. That contrast is fascinating.
It is. The source starts by setting up the baseline, the standard way of doing things. It talks about the Gentiles, their rulers, and it's explicit. These rulers are lords.
Lords, meaning?
Meaning they are defined by being served. The text points out they do no serving. That's the whole structure. Power means people serve you.
Right. So the world standard is power equals getting served. Maximum deference, minimum personal effort for the one on top.
Precisely. But then, for the followers of this teaching, the rule is just completely flipped, 180 degrees.
So how does it define the chief person then?
Well, the one who was to be esteemed most highly. That's the person who would serve most.
Wow, so it's not about getting served anymore. It's about maximizing the service you give.
Exactly. It replaces that whole structure.
But doesn't that just swap one kind of competition for another, like competing to be the biggest servant?
That's a really good point, and maybe why the text flags it. Right?
Yeah.
It calls this principle contrary to the spirit of the world. It seems to push against that fundamental, maybe human drive for status, for ease, for control.
And yet, and this is what jumps out at me, the language isn't just this is hard. It calls this reversed order a beauty and reasonable, which is quite something. It's suggesting this isn't just like a moral burden, but maybe the most logical way.
Logical. Or perhaps the most truly productive way for a community or group to function. It frames it as this ethical system standing completely apart from normal hierarchies.
Okay, so if you actually adopt this way of thinking, the service-first model, what happens? How does it change behavior?
Right, well, the source connects the dots there. It says embracing this makes people a peculiar people. It's set apart not necessarily by, strange beliefs, but by what they do, their actions.
Peculiar by action? Like what?
Their key activities, it mentions, include things like zeal for good works, consistently serving one another, and actively, this is key, doing good unto all men as they have opportunity.
As they have opportunity. So it's proactive, outward-looking.
Yes. It really lines up with what we might call, modern servant leadership ideas, where the leader's job isn't commanding, but enabling, removing obstacles for others.
Less about demanding fealty, more about fostering growth.
Exactly. Supporting the team, not just directing it.
So bringing this all together, what's the core takeaway? This source seems to argue that real leadership, true authority, it's not defined by the privilege of being served. It's defined by the measurable action of serving others. As much as possible, authority is shown in the support you give, maybe, not the status you hold.
Well put. It completely reframes value. And that leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty challenging thought, doesn't it? If being highly esteemed means serving most, well, where does that opportunity end? How do you really become a servant unto all men, as the source suggests?
And maybe how do you do that sustainably without burning out or maybe even enabling dependency instead of empowering people?
That's the ongoing challenge, I think. It requires constant thought, constant evaluation, not just a one-time decision.
Definitely something to mull over.